Hi, my name is Rick Friedrich, and for almost 30 years I've been using a certain lube, friction lube, and been talking about it and saying to my customers and people, I should be a dealer. I keep talking about this stuff. I have a lot to say about it. So this is Bishop's oil we're going to be talking about today, Bishop's Original. And so let me tell you my story, how I came to learn about it. Now this is the original Slick 50 formula, the real deal. The stuff today is not the same thing in the name Slick 50. So anyway, so at 16 years old, back in many years ago, I was a mechanic. I started out at Volkswagen, the biggest Volkswagen dealership in North America. And how I got there was when my dad was from Stuttgart, Germany, and he got the first Jetta Volkswagen in North America. And there's a picture of me when I was a kid standing through the sunroof. So I was always interested in German cars and became a specialist in German or European vehicles and so forth. But I started at Volkswagen, and we took these problem cars to this old German guy down the road. And then the recession hit way back then, and all of us younger guys were out of work. So I ended up working on my driveway and working for this guy and that guy, trying to get my apprenticeship, which it takes about 5,000 hours in Ontario. Well, I ended up thinking, hey, I should go try out that old German guy, and just happened to go there, and he just happened to be needing somebody. So I learned from that guy a lot of things. Learned how to use common sense. I mean, he was the guy that this dealership went to when they had a problem. And so he taught me quality over quantity and many good things. But so one day we're working on this, his car. We're taking the engine out of this rusted Rabbit. This is the this is the time when Volkswagens were really rusty. In Ontario, they salt the roads, and so there was a big problem with rust. Anyway, so we're taking this engine out, and he tells me the story. So this is the third time this engine has come out of a vehicle. This is the third time I've done this. This engine has 700,000 miles on it, or kilometers on it, and he said originally at 140,000 kilometers the engine had seized. He didn't tell me why, just said it seized up, so it would have been useless. So he brings out this old, he tells me this story, he brings out this old can of Slick 50, or a bottle. And he says they don't make this anymore. The Slick 50 today is not the same thing. And this is the original bottle. He said, I put this in, he still had one, and he put it, and he showed me he had put it in his car. And he said the engine started back up, or it unseized. He said he just replaced the oil pump on the engine, that was it. But other than that, the engine kept going. And so I was always curious about this, because he said you couldn't get it, and this was before the internet. So it wasn't like I could really find this or didn't know how to find it, but it was just a curiosity. So years later, when I became involved in alternative energy, I then rediscovered this formula, and it was in Bishop's oil, and Bishop's Original. So I used it after I was a mechanic for years. I learned a lot about cars. I did a lot of different alternative things with vehicles, with hydrogen, Brown's gas, and all those things back in the early days when that was just kind of starting. And so this oil was really important to me when I did discover it again. So I put it in all my cars, and I've been using it ever since. And another story I could tell you was, so I had this old Honda Accord, and it was really burning oil, really bad. But I had this lube in it. Now it doesn't protect you from burning oil, but it did do the following. So it was burning a lot of oil, and I drove down from Michigan to Mississippi and back. And in that time I ran out of oil 3 times. That's how bad it was burning oil. And I wasn't concerned if I ran out of oil. You say, "You're crazy, Rick." Yep. Well, I knew by experience. So I literally would put 4 quarts of oil in the engine. I was completely dry until the engine stalled, because it needs enough oil for the lifters. So it would stall, and I would just go and pour more in there and not worry about it. Because, see, what happens is, not this particular oil, but the engine kind, there's a whole slew of oils that we offer. I guess I'm going to be selling it now. And so what happens is it adheres to the surface of all the movable parts in your engine, especially as the engine heats up, it embeds itself into the pores. So that's what happens, and you can use cheap oil then from then on, and that's what I've been doing. I've never worried about synthetic oil, and I haven't been faithful in my oil changes very much in my cars a lot of the time, but I'm not worried, right? When you have the right tools, the right know-how, then you don't have to do what everybody else is doing all the time. So I'm always trying to find things like that, and I've had these conventions. I sell alternative motors. These motors, you'll see in a minute, will run as a motor and actually charge up another battery at the same time. So this battery here is going to be charging at the rate that this is discharging. So this is the kind of thing, these are the kinds of things I'm selling. I also sell battery chargers that restore useless batteries, allow you to keep your batteries for good. And so I do all these different things, and try and provide solutions, practical solutions for people. I mean, I tried to provide them for myself at first, and then I just wanted to make them known. So I've had these conventions, small conventions, for since 2010. 2008 really I started going around demonstrating these kinds of systems. Actually 2005 I started demonstrating them on college campuses and stuff. But anyway, in the course of my meetings I've always talked about this lube. And in fact I have my best, or my highest ranking video is this 2-minute little video that I have on YouTube that I talk about the lube, and it just I thought, well, I should be selling this stuff. So at my meetings I always tell these guys that come to the meetings about this lube, and they're like, "Where can I get it?" And I'm like, "Well, it's kind of hard to find, to get it, and I should really be selling it." So one of my customers is a dealer of mine, got really interested in it. He said, "Well, where can I get it?" And so then he started selling it. So I became his dealer. He's my dealer, but I became his dealer too. And so I decided I'm going to sell it too now, because I might as well. It's a practical thing. I use it all the time. So I'm going to do a little demonstration here. I actually thought of doing this video right now because I just did it with this motor, and I was making 2 of them at the same time, and I decided, oh well, that would be a good thing to demonstrate, because you can see, well, you can hear the RPM go faster as I apply the lube into the bearing. So I've been using this lube, not just, this like replaces WD-40, this is the aerosol can, and but I also have the lube. I prefer this because I don't like to spray this unless I have to, but I use this little dropper here. So if you've ever bought one of my motors assembled, I've usually put this in just a little bit. That's all you need is a couple of drops, right? So we're going to do that now. I've already done it to this one, and it's noticeable. But the thing about it is, I'm not worried about ever having to put bearing grease again. In fact, I could take out the bearing grease in my bearings and apply this. Now, we're going to look at that in a minute, but I'll talk about the products for a little bit. I'm going to be selling 6 of them for now. The engine treatment is the one that I was talking about earlier. There's an engine restoration system where you can have one product that cleans out the engine. It's kind of like a flush system, and then you have the regular anti-friction. They're both anti-friction, but the one is the main product for the engine that you put in all engines after 5,000 break-in period. You want to go 5,000 miles first because you need to have the engine break itself in and have everything set. So after that period, then you can apply it, and it's especially noticeable on older vehicles. And so the top end of your engine needs never to fail. The bottom end of your engine needs never to fail. The top end, you've got valves and what have you, and it's not going to fix your gaskets or anything like that. But I've gone hundreds of thousands of miles with my vehicles. I was an old diesel mechanic, old Volkswagen diesel mechanic, I should say, before the TDI age, and so I was always driving all these old diesel Rabbits and Jettas, getting 50 miles to the gallon with them, with a big puff of smoke behind me, of course. Anyway, once I had the lube, I was never worried about that engine. So anyway, getting back to the product. So they have bearing grease, proper, which is like a thicker substance than this. I use this for these kinds of bearings. They're not really big load bearings, they're more high-speed bearings. But you could use the other grease. It's more of a paste material. Then there's like the aerosol lube and the regular liquid lube. And then you have power steering, you have gear oils, you've got diesel treatment, you've got 2-cycle oil, 4-cycle oil, marine, heavy duty. There's a whole bunch. I'll be offering 6 of them to start. We'll see how much people are interested in it. And yeah, so it's a pretty good deal. It's comparative to the other competition at the hardware or at the automotive stores, but there's nothing like it. It beats out all of them on all the friction tests, and I mean some of the other alternatives are pretty good. I'm not going to deny it, but it's not Teflon based, and it's just, I can stand by it. I've been using it for years, so, and I'll continue to use it. This has gone mostly towards these these motors, and even my bigger motors. And I've got 2 bottles like this, so they I've made a couple thousand of these motors and sold a couple thousand of these at least, and I've applied a couple of drops in all of them. So both of my bottles are about the same. They're at this level. So anyway, I've been doing a lot of this, is what I'm trying to say. So, so what's interesting is it actually, over time, it will like push out the grease out of the bearing. You'll see kind of like the black residue of the grease, and if you can remove it, I usually remove the grease and then you know, apply this. But in this case, I'm going to put a couple of drops in. So we'll apply it. What I'm going to do is apply it first. There's 4 bearings in here, so I'll apply it on the 2 bottom, and then I'll turn it sideways while it's running, and then you'll see it. And we'll look at the RPM. Actually, if I'm going to do the RPM, I'm going to need a piece of tape here to measure with the tachometer. Somewhere I've got a piece of tape here. Oh, and then I should get the prices here of the product. So I have the prices here as well, so we'll look at that, but let's look at the RPM. If we can. I need a little bit of contrast there. All right. So what we'll do, I'm going to start off by showing you some things just with the motors to, you know, you probably think I'm crazy if you don't know my other videos. So this is the input battery, 1208, and then this is the charging battery. Oops, backwards. So 1189, and we're going to watch this go up. And this is the amp meter. So I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see this. Let me take a look to make sure. Yeah. All right, so we'll look at this. It'll start up, and this one's not self-starting the way it is set up. But so I just give it. So this one is drawing. It's going to draw about 6 amps. This is only at 12 volts. So you can see it's already starting to charge this battery. We'll go back to the input battery. So the input battery is going down under load, of course, what you expect. But the charging battery is charging up. So I can keep it there. So now I'm just going to adjust the timing a little bit. All right, so now I'm going to look at the RPM here. Still climbing a little bit. Just want to get it just right. So we're at 3650, and now we're going to put some of this in. Just a couple of drops. Right away, speeding up. Oh, there's one other story I should tell. That was one bearing out of 4. Now, it's going to be a little bit slower until it adheres. So as it warms up, it's going to adhere more into the pores. There's going to be less liquid sloshing around. So you'll get a difference there. At the first hour or so, it's going to kind of settle. It's already at 3,800. So 3,800, so it went up 100. Now what we're going to do is put it on its side, because I don't want to, I can't really get into the top here. So I'm going to put it on its side, which it's going to hear a little more vibration this way. All right. So now I'm going to put it back a little bit, and we'll do the same thing. Here, speed up again. You can hear it getting into that. Now these are brand new bearings. So it's not like they're old or something. I'm not going to sell old bearings. So let's put it back up again. Hard to get a reading here. So 3,850. So anyway, let's look at our battery. Our battery is 1208. Backwards. Or the amp's backwards. And then the input battery's gone down 1174. Now, what's going to happen is, when I turn it off, you probably can't hear me very well anyway if it's turned on. So this is going to drop down on this battery. It's going to come back up, the input battery, to where it started. This one's going to come back down a little bit. So anyway, I'm not here to talk about my motors, but I wanted to demonstrate that. So there you have an increase of 150 RPM, and once the bearing, like I said, once it gets into the pores, once it gets hot, like if I loaded this down a little bit more, got it really pushing it. Usually I run these at 24 volts. This is only 12 volts, and we'll be taking these up to probably a couple hundred volts later on. But anyway, if we go really fast and we really push those bearings, then that will adhere more. So it takes time to settle in, but you could see it, you could hear it. You know, you could hear the RPM increase by doing that. So anyway, so that's an example. I've got numerous examples. One time I had a cleaning business, or I was a maintenance cleaning business, and I got a hold of this sewing machine that someone had thrown out. It was all seized up. A couple of drops of this in, and that thing worked as good as new. And you know, so it's really good stuff. There's so many stories you could tell. Anyway, the oils that I'm going to be selling, are the engine Permafuse engine protection concentrate, and that will be $60. And then that's the 32 ounce. And then for the 12 ounce of the Permafuse will be $40. Then the sludge out, the 4 ounce of it, concentrate, will be $20. The gasoline fuel enhancer, so that helps clean out your intake, is $26. The diesel equivalent, the fuel treatment, 32 ounces for both of them. The diesel one is $30. Then the aerosol is going to be $15, and then the all-purpose 32 ounce. Yeah, this is the 32 ounce. Will be $20. Don't believe me. This is gold. Many people have asked for that. I can't get it in Europe. How can I get it? You know, so I will only shipping to the United States because I don't want to deal with trying to ship an oil overseas. So this is purely a U.S. Situation. I got to get the website set up so it can only be a U.S. order. So I apologize for that. If you want to order it through somebody, have somebody forward the shipping somehow or another. I don't want to deal with that at this point. But yeah, this is incredible stuff. I've been using it for years. I might as well be a dealer was the joke. Everybody would always laugh. And okay, so now I'll be selling it. I mean, there's not any real money in selling it for me, but just for all the people, making it available to more people, to me is kind of like a ministry thing. So, so anyway, I hope you enjoy the testimony and can benefit from these kinds of products. And you know, that's what I'm about, trying to help people with different things as I discover them, and that's what life should be about. So thanks for watching.